Just making sure. Do one last check.
Testing.
These people were sending me some
I was born
sending
on
me
a
messages about
farm
wanting the
in
link.
Western
So I want to make sure
Kentucky.
people get that.
Fed the pigs and fed the goats. Milked the cows and fed them oats.
So I kind of want to hold for a minute, just because. Oh, she's here. Okay, fantastic.
The
Let's
Storm
let me give me a
Generation
couple minutes
Manifesto.
to get Eileen sort of um, oriented, so we're not jumping right in, because I think she's just got on.
Tony, can you hear me? No. Still muted? Tony can't hear me.
He's hearing you through. Well, he's got us muted right now.
Yeah.
But he can hear you through the microphone, so that even if that's not on.
Tony, can you hear me?
I think he's got both of us muted right now. I don't hear you through here though.
You didn't hear me? You didn't hear me? Hello, hello, hello.
I can see him in the monitor.
I don't know. I'm not coming through here now. I'm no sound here now.
Well, you're coming through. It's just you dropped out.
The Bone Man dances circles round the subterranean gloom, paints pink and blue and purple. Is that coming through?
It's coming through on me, yeah, but not on your monitor.
Yeah.
Do it again, Ron.
The Bone Man dances circles round. Okay. Monitors are out.
Talk. I gotta hear you, Ron.
Talking. Nothing coming through. No sound.
No sound.
No
No monitor
sound.
sound.
Yeah, you're unplugged, Matt. That's what it is.
Where's the board? Is this it?
Yeah, we weren't getting sound through the HD feed, if that's what you're talking about.
Do it again,
Are you
Ron.
getting-
Here we go.
We're back. Okay, can y'all hear me now?
No, not getting sound through the HD feed at the moment.
You're muted.
Okay,
Okay, Tony, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, we're going to do two pieces in our first set. And
Well, we don't hear you through the HD feed. We only hear you if I unmute you on the second connection.
Which is the webcam.
Yeah.
Y'all hearing me before through the HD feed?
We did before.
Mm-hmm.
can you hear me through the feed now?
I'm muted now.
I'm
unmuted.
Can you
Can you hear me through the feed now?
Well, I was muting and unmuting so I could see where you're coming from. You're still coming through the webcam, but not the HD. I'm going to mute the webcam and we'll check the HD again. How's that?
Okay.
Okay.
Hi, Eileen.
How about now? Can you hear me? I'm muted.
Are you getting them through the HD?
Okay. How about now? Can you hear me through the HD now? Shit, muted. Unmute me. Can you hear me through the HD now? Can you hear me through the HD? Can you hear me through the HD now?
Speak again.
Can you hear me?
No, not coming through the HD.
I'm muted now.
I can hear you if I unmute the second connection, the webcam.
I'm muted. Can you
Can you hear me through the HD now?
Speak one more time.
I'm muted.
I just unmuted you on the webcam.
Okay, I'm muted now.
We're not hearing anything.
I'm muted now.
Not hearing anything on the HD.
I'm muted. Need to unmute me. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me on the HD now? Can you hear me? Can you?
Nope, not coming through HD. I can unmute you on the other one.
Not coming
Not coming through HD.
Not coming through HD. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? I just want our audience to be able to hear us and Eileen.
No, still not hearing you.
Still not hearing me. Please stand by. Can you hear me now? Can you?
Let's get a signal off.
I don't know what it is.
Yeah, Facebook.
Check all your buttons. Nothing's changed here. Can you hear me now? Sound. Hello.
Not through HD. I can get you through the webcam, but not through HD.
Get me through the webcam, but not HD. Start talking. You can get me through the webcam, but can you get me through the HD? Tell me now. Come on. Try it now. Unmuted by host. Can you hear me now? Hold on.
I'm all mad at. Oh, man. Oh, baby. Oh, baby. Oh, yeah.
We are experiencing temporary technical difficulties.
Hey, we actually heard that.
Hey.
We heard the technical difficulties piece.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we heard that.
Okay. On the
Oh, you got it?
HD feed?
Yeah, we're getting something.
Okay. Somebody in space flipped the switch.
That's awesome.
Say the word.
Okay, are we good to go?
Yep, we're good.
Okay. Let me then get a stream in here.
switch me back? That camera? This one? That one. Okay.
Okay. Good evening, folks. Let me get all my pages and tabs all organized. Oh, we finally made it. And I'm glad you could be here with us. My name is Tony Brewer, and I am the host this evening of the Writers Guild at Bloomington Spoken Word series, our October edition. I co-produced the series with Joan Hawkins, and our technical director is Kyle Quass. We do this every month on the first Wednesday of the month. We are sponsored in part by the Indiana Arts Commission, the Bloomington Arts Commission, and the Bloomington Urban Enterprise Association, as well as Dark Star TV, joining us tonight live from Louisville, Kentucky. They're providing technical services and support for Ron Whitehead and the Storm Generation, one of our features this evening. The Writers Guild at Bloomington wishes to acknowledge and honor the indigenous communities native to this region and recognize that Indiana University and the city of Bloomington were built on indigenous homelands and resources. We recognize the Miami, Delaware, Potawatomi, and Shawnee people as past, present, and future caretakers of this land. I've got a handful of announcements I'm going to try and blaze through real quick, as we got a bit of a late start, so I'll try and plow through these very quickly. Excuse me. Third Sunday Write is our virtual Facebook writing workshop, and we continue to hold that on the third Sunday of every month. We will send you a prompt by the third Friday of the month so that you can write and then share a piece with the group on our private Facebook page for this workshop on the third Sunday. If you're interested in joining the Third Sunday Write virtual edition, contact Shauna Ritter. That is Shauna Ritter at Shauna, S-H-A-N-A, Shauna747 at gmail.com. All this information, everything I'm telling you, is also going to be on our website, Writers Guild Bloomington, all one word, writersguildbloomington.com. You should also like us on Facebook. That's the best way to find out about what we're doing. But we're also active. We also have a presence on Instagram and Twitter as well. Our next monthly meeting, it's more of a business meeting, but if you want to learn the ins and outs of this not-for-profit literary organization, you can join us via Zoom Saturday, October 24th at 3 p.m. Contact the Guild for the link. Again, through our website, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, all the flavors. We like them all. Returning, another event that is returning, our virtual last Sunday poetry reading and open mic. That is Sunday, October 25th at 1 p.m., featuring readings by Doris Lynch and Shauna Ritter. This is a pre-recorded reading that will be featured on Facebook and YouTube with an open mic to follow. The last thing I wanted to mention is at the end of this month, definitely you'll want to check this out. This is an event that was postponed from back in March. Neither Memory nor Magic screening virtually through IU Cinema, and that is online Tuesday, October 27th at 7 p.m. It is free, but you have to sign up. They send you a link to the screening and all that. So Neither Memory Nor Magic is a documentary directed by Hugo Perez about a Hungarian poet named Miklos Radnóti. If you've known me for any amount of time, you probably heard me talk about Miklos Radnóti. The film explores the life work and legacy of this remarkable poet, Radnóti, one of the greatest Hungarian poets and an important voice speaking through and from the horrors of the Holocaust. He is best known to English speakers from Carolyn Forché's brilliant anthology Against Forgetting, 20th Century Poetry of Witness. And Radnoti kept a notebook through his final years spent in a World War II forced labor camp. The notebook containing some of his most remarkable poems was found on his body after he was executed and buried in a mass grave. So this was curated by myself and Joan Hawkins, along with the Writers Guild, through the community collaboration program at IU Cinema. And I wanted to include this list. These are all the departments that Joan really got support from. IU Cinema, of course, the Jorgensen Foundation, Center for Latin American and Caribbean Studies, Center for Documentary Research and Practice, Cinema and Media Studies, the Media School, IU Hillel, Hungarian Cultural Association, Hungarian Studies Program, Inter-Asian and Uralic National Resource Center, Bourne's Jewish Studies Program, Hamilton Luger School of Global and International Studies, Black Film Center Archive, College Arts and Humanities Institute, and the departments of Spanish and Portuguese, English, and African American and African Diaspora Studies. There will be, I believe, Joan, correct me if I'm wrong, there will be a Q&A after the screening on Tuesday, October 17th. And Hugo Perez, the director, will also give a virtual talk on Friday, October 30th, also at 7 p.m. That is also free, sign up required, of course. Perez's films, he's a well-regarded documentarian. His films often focus on his Cuban-American heritage and the systematic oppression of marginalized people. So
one correction, Tony.
Yeah.
The screening and the Q&A will be Tuesday, October 27th. So it's all that 1 week.
Oh, so not a thing on
Not on the 17th. So there's the screening on Tuesday, October 27th,
Yes.
and then the lecture on the 30th.
On the 30th, okay.
Yeah.
Did I say the 17th?
Yeah,
Oh, okay. Pardon me. 27th.
that's okay.
27th. I'm excited about this because I love his work and I've been anxious to see this film for a long time. And then we had it all lined up in late March and then it got closed, everything got locked down. So anyway, there's already a Facebook event for this from IU Cinema, so definitely check that out. And last reminder, the 4th Street Festival, as you know, did not occur this year on Labor Day, but it is taking place through the end of the year virtually on the 4th Street Festival website. And the Writers Guild has always for the last 10 years, done a spoken word stage. This year we did a virtual spoken word stage and have a presence on their site through the end of the year. So we've recorded some special performances as sort of a virtual spoken word stage. Joan, I think that's it for me. Is there anything I left out?
No, let's get to the
Yeah.
act.
So I'm thrilled to have both these folks featuring for us tonight. Ron Whitehead and the Storm Generation and Eileen Miles. Ron is going to kick us off. Ron Whitehead is a poet, writer, editor, publisher, organizer, scholar, professor. He grew up on a farm on Kentucky. He attended the University of Louisville and Oxford University. As poet and writer, he is the recipient of numerous state, national, and international awards and prizes, including the All Kentucky Poetry Prize, the Yates Club of Oxford's Prize for Poetry, State of Kentucky Beat Poet Laureate from 2019 to 2021, and many, many others. He was just telling us about some things he's got coming up in the next few months, and it's more astonishing than anything I'm going to read right now. But he's been a major force behind Gonzo Fest in Louisville, celebrating the legacy of Hunter S. Thompson. In 2006, Dr. John Rocco nominated Ron for the Nobel Prize in Literature. He was recently inducted into his high school's, that's Ohio County High, Hall of Fame, representing the 1968 graduating class. The Storm Generation are his regular conspirators. Let's go live to Louisville, Kentucky for Ron Whitehead and the Storm Generation.
Tapping my own phone. I'm going straight. Bought myself a flat top haircut so stiff I can carry a tray of martinis. Waiting on people, someone to open up her purse and give me a tip, cause I don't have a clue anymore as to what's going on, but I do know that I'm one step ahead, tapping my own phone to hear myself talking with people who used to be my friends, listening so I can correct myself before they do. And I've got a surveillance camera in my abandoned car across the street, watching myself, replaying the tape so I can see if I'm acting funny before they catch me doing something I shouldn't. Like yesterday, I spotted myself walking too fast and I heard myself talking too loud. Yes, I've got the deep fear, paranoia, anxiety, despair, and suicide blues. But I'm making sure I don't do nothing else wrong, cause I done screwed up so many times I cornered myself into a backstreet dead-end alley of paranoia. And every time I hear an airplane or a helicopter or a car door slam, I know the Secret Service, the FBI, and the IRS SWAT teams have finally arrived, cause I published a poem by the President of the United States of America without his fully conscious permission. And I'm sure I haven't paid enough taxes cause I've got no income, yet somehow I keep on doing things like eating every once in a while and paying a light bill or two. But how do I do it? They're gonna ask. What's the source of your income and how come you don't come to see us anymore? So yes, I've become a little jumpy, but I'm staying one step ahead, tapping my own phone, videotaping my every move, watching myself day and night, replaying the tapes, cause I got a bad case of the deep fear, paranoia, anxiety, despair, and suicide blues. Marijuana, the great gateway drug. When I hear folks disdainfully refer to reefer, to marijuana as the gateway drug, then it's stories of decline, destruction, doom, and death. I instantly recall all the glorious gates leading to variously altered states of beautiful consciousness produced by my smoking nature's herb, marijuana. And I rarely waste my time engaging in conversation with the naysayers and the doomsdayers, because having experienced the holy smoke, I know that if and when doomsday arrives, it sure won't be because of anyone smoking marijuana. Storm Generation Band, it's a great honor to be here. Hello, Tony, everybody in Bloomington, Indiana. And it's a great honor to be sharing the stage with Eileen Miles. We'll be back in a few.
Fantastic. Thanks, Ron. Wonderful. Thank you. Yeah, we'll have more from, excuse me, we'll have more from Ron and the Storm Generation in a little bit. Next, I would like to introduce our other feature for this evening. Eileen Miles came to New York from Boston in 1974 to be a poet, subsequently novelist, public talker, and art journalist. A Sagittarius, their 22 books include For Now, which is just out. That's the one they are riding high on right now. For Now, Evolution, Afterglow, I Must Be Living Twice, New and Selected Poems, and Chelsea Girls. In 2019, they wrote and directed an 18-minute Super 8 film, The Trip, a puppet road film. You can see it on YouTube. Eileen is the recipient of a Guggenheim, a Warhol Creative Capital Arts Writers Grant, 4 Lambda Book Awards, the Shelley Prize, and a Poetry Award from the Foundation for Contemporary Arts. In 2016, they received a Creative Capital Grant and the Clark Prize for Excellence in Art Writing. In 2019, Miles received a Poetry Award from the American Academy of Arts and Letters. And in 2020, they got the Bill Whitehead Award, I wonder if there's any relation, the Bill Whitehead Award for Lifetime Achievement from the Publishing Triangle. They live in New York and Marfa, Texas. Please welcome Eileen Miles.
Hey guys, there was a band of text going across my face for a moment. I was like, that's weird. Thank you, Tony, for the intro, and Joan, hi Joan, and Ron, that was great. It was great to hear you, and it's an honor to share the stage with you too. And I, like everybody, from my bedroom, live from my bedroom here. I'm doing 2 sets. So the second one I'm gonna read from the new book, but I have a poem that I want to read, just one long poem, and it's called Eva After Getting Off the Boat. And I think maybe the only thing I might want to throw on is that I'm boarding a plane as I'm writing this poem, or I just did. I'm something unreliable, and this is a day for poetry. My body, one big explosion, or revelation, or crinkly thing. I go back. These threads of paper that happen to be my economy, repeatable and manifold, serial and sundry. What is Eileen talking about? I got myself here ready to fly with a thin layer of literally sleep, but what we mean by consciousness, is it writing? This? But what? I go on in this carrying hordes awaiting an opportunity. I cut it in half, being careful to say thank you, and wander on. I'll make something public, eventually filtering back to the real, keep in a promise or two, and really keeping some room for the lively impertinence of change. I'm a little unsure if you believe in that. Do I? I get up, I'm captured in this thing called writing. I bump my head on something soft, a person, I'm sorry. It's okay. Is that writing? Is this 18 or 19? 19. His fingers flexed mid. Now he's explaining the equipment to his neighbor. Neighbor? Somebody somewhere, this floaty stuff? Knowledge, the faces coming at me, hopeful, suspicious, surly, bland. They just want to, and now I am traveling. And what if I really was everyone? Forget all that neighbor shit. Does this have neighbors? How do I hold what's writing by hand? I love this edge. It wasn't even a neighborhood, Bob, and I decided to spend my life, which doesn't mean it's good. At least our row is complete. The plane has too many people, the world has. Series of cartoons in which the world has sad thoughts. I'm dead. But who may read my signs? I killed the dinosaurs and now I kill you. Is anybody out there? A planet hopelessly alone, calling to the present and the past. The old definition got us here. If I'm not a man, well, tough luck. My blackness is a sword jabbing through space. Lacking a target, you did this too yourself. The only bands are marching bands. I'm part of one night, a serial prayer. This is volume. Well, how do I count? I only have voice, sound, and a good pen. Our exchanges of warmth can't be traded in for a fortune. This is the future. My white friend said, I look good. You brought me here to advocate for him. The best thing I've ever seen, a mirror of way too late. Don't we need to see ourselves, a lonely earth burning up with a party hat on and a drink in his hand, as if making a lot of noise was a plan? If I play nothing and see what it has, if I don't wear gloves and see how my hands do, covered with spots and bulging nerves, there's something impossibly true about the body, anyone's. In Greece and Laura's women, wrinkles are weaving, and wanting to produce, the car went whoop, whoop. What if what I do now killed the dinosaurs? I betrayed you so long ago. And you hear that sound. What's that? Unpacked, the marvelous, spent lying on the beach, looking at its feet. If most of the people on the planet are lost, but you see this big blue orb so far you can't even hear them crying. I need a nap. She's a recording. He's laughing at work on a plane. It's usually him, married with kids, dick firing in the future. You don't picture your kids in those human forms. Let's play a game and tell me where you hide it on my planet. Just a little bit of change. I feel lost and more commingled with all those people crying in jail, dirty, lost, an arm lost. An arm? I was just going to a fucking wedding. How dare I plan for there to be a future? Strap into the plane. When will we take off? It will change your thought. He made art out of very strong light, the corporate light of the present and the future. As a woman, she would obviously be more concerned with organizing loss, but it's a little bit later, just as dark out there where we spin. What if someone was reading this? Is a book a world in which they killed everyone but pretended it was not happening? It is. And she puts the broken parts, the lights fading in Greece. In a gallery in Athens this morning, she crosses her legs and reads the screen on her lap, which is glowing. I transport the apparatus for the celebratory cake. Don't bitch, I thought, and I'm driving her home, and her daughter is smiling, holding their child from another part of the planet. James, they have made a home for him, the home everywhere. This is what I think is good. Do care and offer band-aids, see the hurt, and dig in their purse on the boat to help. I am grateful that you have seen. Have I seen anyone in their pain? My mother scarcely breathing, we waiting her out. They don't care because I never could. But I care where? Standing way outside, seeing the blue, which is only in here, and I'm finishing because there's nothing else to do. I got the part where you don't say, you just do. All of her face is gleaming at me. The image is fixed. When she moves, be kind. We are all engaging in the mystery of what we have done with our kind. We are hurtling. Something's going on, and it's comforting to not entirely be the last, but being one of them. The painless world, because you're so far, get close. It's your only one, and you can really feel it and hear it. History is crying. The light, what is it made of, is dim. Breathe, present, change. Thank you. That's it.
Awesome. Thank you, Eileen. Get that out of there. Try and get. There we go. There I am. Thanks, Eileen. I think we are now going back to, if Ron is ready, we're going back to Ron Whitehead and the storm generation. We good to go? Oh, something's happening.
Ready here? Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Okay. In 1997, while co-producing with rock journalist Al Aronowitz, the Allen Ginsberg tribute at the Bandshell in Central Park in New York City, I'd invited folks from all over the world who had any association, editors, publishers, fans of Ginsberg to come. 3 folks came from Iceland, Birgitta Jansdottir and Michael and Danny Pollock. Birgitta told me that the Minister of Culture had sent them, and I was invited to Reykjavik to give 3 readings of my work, which I did. And the Iceland band Sigur Rós opened one of those readings at the main music club there, and so ended up doing some work with them, did a lot of work, ended up living in Iceland for 2 years. And in 2008, with Ólafur Gunnarsson, Iceland's most respected novelist, I co-produced the first and only ever Beat Generation Festival at Storklop, several kilometers outside of Reykjavik, across the valley from the legendary Viking Mountain. 3 days after that amazing festival, I climbed the mountain. When Ólafur dropped me off at the base, he said, it was mist and rain, he said, Ron, I forgot to tell you several people have been blown off the top of the mountain, so be careful. When I was almost to the top, a terrible storm came up, but I'm stubborn. And I went on to the top and was nearly blown off 3 times. I held on to a big rock, finally stood up, held out my arms, yelled to the Norse gods, thanking them for accepting and embracing me. And when I got down, after 3 conversations with Ólafur, this poem was born, the Storm Generation Manifesto. To the lost and the beat, we go our own way. We are the storm generation. We are the fucking storm. We are a new generation of artists. We are poets, writers, painters, sculptors, composers, photographers, musicians, singers, dancers, playwrights, filmmakers. We are creative expression. We blow away lies and injustice. We are graphic. We are honest. We tell it like it is. We are fierce. We are brutal. We are compassionate, we are gentle, we are kind, we have soft hearts, we are free, we are spirit, we are sex, we dwell in the realms of the creative imagination. We are the creative imagination. We know that the shortest distance between 2 points is creative distance. We pay attention to the long forgotten wisdom voices of the forest. We vanquish the overtly materialistic, greedy, who intentionally destroy mountains. We honor mountains and oceans and eagles and wolves. We cherish Mother Earth and all her terrible beauty. We are nonviolent spiritual warriors. We are lightning. We are thunder. We are song poems. We are fearless visionary poets. We have wolf eyes. We are more than the eye of the storm. We are the fucking storm. We refuse. We will not bow down. We will never give up. We are God's open nerve. We are God's open nerve. We are the storm generation. The storm. The storm. The storm. All right, thank you. It's Matt Thompson on lead guitar, Bill Hardesty on bass, Ron Chadwick on drums. Done a lot of work with these guys. Matt and I have toured in various manifestations for nearly 10 years, doing shows in Europe and the U.S. We've done a lot of recording, producing sessions together, and 3 or 4 years ago, I asked him to become music director for the Storm Generation Band, and sometimes we have as many as a dozen people on stage performing. But we stripped it down tonight to maintain safety protocols, safe distancing. This next piece, title track from new recent album release, Riding with Rebel Jesus. Hold up in Oaxaca, we'd reached the end of the line. The government was against us. An army waited for us outside. Jesus wasn't nervous, he never was, but neither was I. Hold up in Oaxaca, we'd reached the end of the line. Jesus was a wanderer. Wherever it was, we'd been there a time or two. Bogota, Buenos Aires, Rio de Janeiro, Machu Picchu in Peru, Tucson, Arizona, New Orleans, Louisiana, Havana, Cuba, Mexico City. Jesus was a wanderer. Wherever it was, we'd been there a time or two. Riding with Rebel Jesus, people turned their heads and stared. Who was that, they asked. Did you see his brown eyes? Did you see his red hair? Jesus the wanderer was a mystery to all. Jesus the wanderer was a mystery to me. Riding with Rebel Jesus, people turned their heads and stared. How much longer can we hold out? How much further can we go? We're holed up in Oaxaca with the army outside our door. Looks like the journey's over. Our wandering days are done. How much longer can we hold out? How much further can we run? Holed up in Oaxaca, we reached the end of the line. The government was against us. An army waited for us outside. Jesus wasn't nervous. He never was, but neither was I. Holed up in Oaxaca, we'd reached the end of our time. shooting up poetry in New Orleans. Near the levee, a maroon Hudson sedan driven by Neil Cassidy pulls up to a dilapidated old house with tall grass and weeping willows in the yard. It's 509 Wagner Street, Algiers, the home of William S. Burroughs. Neil, Jack Kerouac, Al Hinkle, and Luann Henderson arrive from the road to spend a few days with Burroughs. Burroughs rarely goes out except to make his connection. He invites Kerouac to try his orgone accumulator. Burroughs says, sit inside and you'll absorb life principle atoms right out of the atmosphere. He attempts to convince Kerouac into abandoning his road trip with Cassidy. Years later, I'm in New Orleans, standing outside the Howlin' Wolf Club. I'm here to produce yet another Beat Generation spirited 48-hour non-stop music and poetry insomniacathon, and I've been burning up the road day and night with no end in sight. I'm feeling burnt out, tired to the bone, so I'm searching for a fix of poetry to shoot into my blood, to rejuvenate my spirit. I'm calling on Bill Burroughs and Jack Kerouac and Neil Cassidy, but I haven't found my orgone accumulator, my new poetry yet, and my head is hanging so low it's dragging the ground. I've known nothing but failure lately, and I've been burning the candle at both ends so long there's nothing left of me but smoke and ashes. So I'm wondering if the time has finally arrived for me to become cinder for that long-distance, never-ending railroad track to nowhere. My spirit screams out for help. And in a flash, I hear Allen Ginsberg whisper, take a hand, share the word. And out of the blue, the poetry gospel starts flowing through my groin and my gut and my heart and my head. And my, oh my, I jump and shout and sing. Yes, right in front of the Howlin' Wolf Club, I'm grabbed hold of by the poetry spirit. And now someone's singing and banging on a piano. So I open the door and peek in, and lo and behold, there's Dr. John doing double note crossovers and over and unders. He's doing his ooh la mala walla. He's playing and speaking in tongues right here in the middle of the holy New Orleans afternoon. And out of the blue, I find the poetry I've been looking for. I look up and there's the full moon smiling at me from over the Mississippi River, and I think about Algiers and about Bill Burroughs and Jack Kerouac and Neil Cassidy, and I think of Neil's flame gone, his naked body lying beside those long-distance, never-ending railroad tracks to nowhere. And I hope all the poets and musicians performing at this 48-hour non-stop music and poetry insomniacathon, hell, I hope all of us keep the funk, keep that fuck you flame alive. Don't let the system break you. Don't let life break you. And I hear Dr. John playing that piano and singing his boogie woogie into the world blues. And in that moment, I know my reward is in the experience of poetry. And right here, right now, I'm in New Orleans with all these poets and musicians who somehow know the magical power of poetry. The word sets us free. And I think about Allen Ginsberg and what he said about taking somebody's hand, 'cause we're all in this together. We're pulling. We ain't pushing. We're letting it be. We realize when one of us is lifted up, we're all lifted up. And I realize that poetry is life and life is poetry. And I feel an energy rising through me, growing strong, coming from poets and musicians of all ages. And I don't feel like failure anymore. I feel good. I feel strong. I feel reborn into poetry, into life. And it feels like resurrection, rebirth into poetry right here, right now, shooting up poetry in New Orleans. I call bullshit on white persecution in the USA. Every name in the book. I have received numerous death threats, all because of the way I look, all because of what I write, all because I'm an iconoclast, all because I'm a poet activist, all because I stand up and speak out, all because I refuse and I will not bow down, all because I choose to go my own way. I question everything, especially my own damn self. But I have never felt persecuted for being a white man living in the USA. I grew up on a Kentucky farm. I come from a long line of farmers, coal miners, of strong men and strong women. I have never felt persecuted for being white in the USA. I hear whining, complaining, threatening from so many white folks, declaring they're being persecuted for being white in the USA. I call bullshit. Stop your lame-ass whining, complaining, threatening. Suck it up. Learn to change, to grow, to live with others who aren't like you. Be a man, be a woman, be your own original self. Quit following the crowd. Lend a hand, lift others up. Be brave, be bold, have compassion. Imagine what life is like to not be white today living in the USA. This isn't your country. There's nothing to take back. This is our country. White Europeans stole this land from the people who were here before them. We're all immigrants. Grow up, get a job, get a life, find a dream, then build the bridge from where you are to living and being your dream. Stop whining, complaining, blaming, and threatening others. I call bullshit on white persecution in the USA. Thank you. We sure miss playing for live audiences, but we're sure as hell glad to be here today with you all. So we got one more in this, our long set, and then we'll have two in our final set. I'm damn proud to have grown up. I'm proud to be a hillbilly. I'm proud to have grown up on a farm in Kentucky, to be a wild nature country boy, and I never shy away from that, no matter where I am. I was blessed to study at Oxford's Graduate School for a little bit on a couple scholarships, and with Valentine Cunningham, the head of English literature. And I'll never forget the day I knocked on his office door. He opened it, we exchanged names. Then he looked down at my feet. I knew what was coming. I said, what? He said, you got shoes on. I didn't know people from Kentucky wore shoes. I said, ha ha, smart ass, we'll get along great. And we did. And this is one of those stories about my Kentucky experience. The bridge. 3 a.m. on a hot summer night in western Kentucky, my eyes flash open and I'm on the floor of the yellow farmhouse, across the field from Mom and Dad's, in the middle of nowhere, not able to sleep. I dozed off for a second when someone turns on a light and it's blinded my eyes, and here I am at the end of time, down and out in Kentucky. Here I am wondering whether life's worth living, all the pain, and someone's turned on a light and it's blinded my eyes, and I'm a broken man buried in a tomb of self-pity. I'm failing like no others dare fail, but at 3 a.m. on this hot summer night on this plywood floor, as my eyes adjust, I see the room filled with lightning bugs coming through broken windows, and they're all around me, filling the room with golden light. Almost in a dream, I see Stan, and we're in the yellow Volkswagen doing 100 on Highway 69 between Beaver Dam and Centertown, and a car's coming the other way, and Stan and I glance at each other, and in that glance I see his struggle, his fear, his anger, his defeat, his defiance, his will, his desire to succeed, his willingness to suffer, to pay the price, to see his dream become real. And we look back to the road, to Bronnie Taylor's car, and we're doing 100 headed towards the one-lane bridge. And Bronnie Taylor ain't slowing down, and neither are we. Eyes steady and clear, and we've seen death and been told we're crazy, but we're holding at 100. And without blinking, we meet Bronnie Taylor at the center of the one-lane bridge. Not a breath of air between cars and walls. And as we pass, without blinking, I see Bronnie Taylor's mouth drop open and fall to his chest. And in that moment of passing, of seeing, I know that like Stan, I will pull myself up off this dirty, rotten floor and live again. Thank you. We are the Storm Generation Band. Ron Whitehead, honored to be here. These fine folks from Bloomington, Indiana, and with the one and only Eileen Miles.
Fantastic. Thanks, Ron. Thanks, everybody. Thanks to the Storm Generation for rocking out there. And thanks to Clayton and Dark Star TV for helping us put this together. It's been a great stream. It looks great. You guys sound great. It's working really well. So there I am. Back again. Yeah, this whole thing has been, this whole series has been an experiment because the Writers Guild didn't really do very much online ever except our newsletter and website. So trying to take a reading series and move it all online, it's worked. It's been okay. We can do this. So, but it's almost every month, it seems like something else has been a little different. Like we've tried to complicate things a little bit more. Having a full band in a studio in another state and have them tap into the stream. Sure, let's try it. But it's going really well. And I appreciate Clay and Dark Star TV and everybody there at the studio in Louisville helping us out. Let us now hear some more from Eileen Miles.
Okay.
Great.
Yeah, this set I'm going to read a little, like the absolute beginning of this new book, and then skip a little bit to a later piece. But it's a book. I don't want to explain the thing that I'm about to read, but I'll do that. Only that I was invited to give a talk. Hold on, my cell phone is clamoring. I was invited to give a talk about writing, which seemed like the greatest problem in the world. But I had a real life problem that weirdly made the writing problem seem easy, And so I kind of shuttled from one problem to the other. But I definitely share some wisdom about writing here and also difficulties in my life. So picture me standing up giving a talk. I think, and this is that. I think last year I got the beautiful bound versions Yale published of Patti Smith and Nausgaard giving this talk. And I sat in a chair in my apartment and I took a look at each of them. And at least as far as the beginnings, both of them sounded like themselves. And I thought, well, I can certainly do that. When I received the invitation to give this talk, I think it was the summer before last, or maybe that spring, I was given a date and a fee. And I kind of put it at the back of my mind as something nice that would happen the following September or October. And then in August, I got in touch with Michael because I hadn't heard anything, but it turns out that's because I had the wrong year. And I figure I can start with that. And I'll return to it. And it's so weird because this is a talk that I gave in a year ago. So I thought that was a weird year. 2018's talk would have been different, and 2019 has been a chaotic and exceptionally beautiful year, right? Crowded with incident, horrible, and time itself has had a kind of optic quality, full of great and awful things to see, and the year has been busy getting copied, that way being memorable. And these are the things I'm always feeding into my purpose, which is to write and maybe to get this part over with right away because I need an alibi. I have a very definite feeling that I am simply living. And how would that be possible if you also had kind of an ambition and fewer concrete plans as you moved out of childhood wanting to discharge it? Alibi, of course, implies a kind of elsewhere. And as you translate it into many languages, it remains alibi. What's the word for alibi in Czech? It's alibi. I have been arming myself with philosophies for years that support the notion that the point is to be here, to be present, which I think is the truly hard part. And yet I keep coming back to it. It's undeniably true. And writing, it turns out, is the easiest way to copy that feeling. I've been doing it for years. I would like to be here. I think I'm here. And the more I write and the more you read it, the more it's simply a fact. So that's pretty much done. And now I'm living here. The second detail pertaining to the invite I received to give this talk is that I've been living in an apartment in New York for 42 years. So that's where most of my life has occurred. My living, my thinking, my copying. It's one of those East Village rent stabilized apartments. And my building had just been sold in 2017 for the umpteenth time. And pretty soon after my lease was up, I guess probably in June, and the new landlady totally took her time getting the lease to me, actually all of us, which of course spelled danger. And finally, I got an email from her, my landlady, Elaine Moosey, saying she wanted to meet each one of us to hand us our leases. And I thought, that's sweet. And a few weeks later, she's standing right there in my apartment. She's a conservative looking woman, I guess about 10 years younger than me. And as soon as she got inside here, apartment 3C, she goes, I'll give you $75,000 to leave. That's a visitor, right? I chuckled and rejected her offer. And she went on to say that she knows that as well as living here in the small, very inexpensive apartment, I also have a house in Marfa, Texas, which is not illegal, but a fact. And that she, Elaine Moosey, knows it. I'm being watched. That was the feeling I got. And then she asked me what I do, and I said, I'm a writer. I didn't say poet, which was interesting. I generally do say that because it is far more perverse. People generally don't know what a poet does, but in the moment with my landlady, I also grabbed a fat book of poetry out of a brown box sitting there right next to the tub, and I flashed it, even thinking maybe it would be nice to give her one, also wondering if there was something incriminating in it. And she looked right through the two of us, my book and I, and then she said, smiling, wouldn't you rather write in Texas? So let me jump a few pages. And now I'm just going into the deeper facts of the book. It really takes so much time to become a writer, and you have to be able to roll in time itself. That was my experience, it seems to me, like a dog likes to roll in dead fish at the beach. Or a dog, my dog, stands in the shit of a stable underneath the body of a horse, trembling, and feels awe. Because there's so much shit and there's so much horse. And if you're somebody that wants to do that with your life, which is just waste your time moment to moment. I mean, it's great. I thought I will waste it being a poet. I threw the gauntlet down, and what happened after that was nothing, and nothing is where I work. I'll get to the why of it. I think literature is wasted time. I don't think there's anything good about it. It's not a moral project, except in this profound aspect of wasting time. I have had this adventure in all of these ways. It's the great adventure of our time. I guess you could be in this position, and I think I'm talking about the position of being in my apartment, by being wealthy or having a rich partner, though I don't think being wealthy, you would feel the same desperate intensity about living in this tiny preserve as one does if you're being poor and you found yourself in a situation like mine that was simply a convergence of class and history and culture, and on a personal level, lethargy, fear, and procrastination, so that you wound up there somewhere workable where you could simply live, and then you simply couldn't move because where in the world was as cheap as New York if you lived among the class that lives this way? I suppose I'm talking about negative awe. And all of that became your decor to some extent, even involuntarily relishing the fabric of being poor. I could tell you endless jokes about it, but I'm not going to do that now. And I wasn't alone in it, my condition. There was an us to it. Now there's about 3 left, and when I go, there'll be 2. My apartment is pathetic. And I'm not actually in my apartment right now. I'm visiting my girlfriend who lives on Long Island. My apartment is pathetic. It's an eyrie from which I look down. From my 300 square foot apartment, maybe from the position of bed, I literally espy the New York Marble Cemetery, a graveyard from the 19th century, which has sort of been like being young, and then not so young, and holding a skull all these years. And in that fragile and elevated space, I read and wrote and just kind of looked at things very slow. And my built-in bed is jammed right up against the window, and I sleep on my right side. And anywhere in the world, if I can't sleep, if I can't remember what sleep is or how it works, I just think of the window. It is the original. I know it's not very American to have a home, to feel this way about a location at all, but this is the time I am in. Dogs, as we have learned, shit in relationship to the magnetic poles of the earth. So, shrug. I went to the ruins in Mexico in 1985, and in the Anthropological Museum, I discovered a writer, John L. Stevens, who wrote a book called Incidents of Travel in Central America, Chiapas, and Yucatan. There were a series of similarly named books. Through him, I became enamored with the idea of becoming a travel writer, of which he was among the first. Later, I discovered Robert Smithson and his Incidents of Mirror Travel in the Yucatan. Obviously, he was responding to Stevens, to Mexico, and his own condition of coming from post-industrial suburban New Jersey, using stuff. He started off being a writer, but wound up more of a sculptor, conceptual artist, an earth artist. He made big and little things outside, and often he took pictures of them and installed versions of the entirety inside. His response to Mayan antiquity was to put tiny mirrors in it. He was a poet, after all. I had no access to this graveyard for a very long time. I just had a view. Once I drunkenly climbed over the fence with my girlfriend and laid down on the raised gravestones and drank our beers and looked at the stars. By around 2010, the Marble Cemetery began opening on the first Sunday of the month, May through October 1st. I recommend it, and also a historic plaque has magically appeared on the metal gate, and I discovered that John L. Stevens' remains are down there and had been right below my window for 30 years. And only last year on the TV show The Billions, Axe and Wags were standing down there in the dark of my computer, warm on my stomach in bed. Wags was buying a plot. The contortions of here and elsewhere are endless and rich. Even Robert Smithson had a name for it, all the mirrors and the remembering and the displacement, ultramodernism. And this is what I do about that. It's a literature of tiny folds, of nothing and then a lot. I'm wondering if everyone has a childhood conducive to becoming an artist, except that childhood is that somehow, the original studio and the time place. You make art sometimes, and the people in school, try to make you write. Everybody didn't like it. I did, though I didn't think there was anything to it. Writing is a profession. Wouldn't you want the world? It's interesting that we got around to this. I had other thoughts in mind, but as a kid, the important fact is that you radically understand your own condition. You know that you don't have to go to work or pay bills, and everything's new. So there's an enormously liberated feeling, which certainly abuts on this awesome space, which is writing or art or rolling in the shit of time. Though let me add, the singular experience I project onto childhood, the romance I have about dwelling in poor spaciousness from approximately my mid-20s to my mid-40s, contains a genuine element of risk, but not of condemnation. Because the lives I collided with when I went out opened capacities and spaces and wider opportunities if only I continued walking and breathing and picking up the phone. And if I were so broke that the phone was turned off, I could go downstairs to the bodega and call John Ashbery and ask him if he would recommend me for an emergency grant. And because I had such entitlement, I knew about this grant and had written some good poems. I'm standing right here now, whereas some of my neighbors in my building came to New York from other countries, continents, or territories, our colonies. Puerto Rico, and 6 people lived in the apartment right next door to my one. And the child of that house is now a large man who doesn't leave the block or hardly the building. His name is Steve, and a woman on the 3rd floor I love, who has been carrying her groceries up the stairs, bump, 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 in a cart for years. We're probably the same age, and she came here from South America to get an operation for her son, whereas our government is now pulling such kids out of the hospital and deporting them. And later in college, he was a camp counselor, and he wrote some emails to one of the campers after the summer that he got in trouble for, and he actually went to jail, and he came back much bigger, jail big, and than he was before. Maybe he committed a crime, but I think it was because he was brown, and his mother lived her life for him. So I have to acknowledge for myself that I am living outside that level of suffering. I wasted time absolutely like I knew I should. Well, I could. The waste was like a frame, an award, an attainment. Literature is waste for sure, but the award was just time itself. There are writers who have jobs, they probably had children, and they had to get up at dawn to write for an hour, and that's not me. Queerness is a factor. Even in childhood, you're a bit of a fraud. And later, you just want to put all that time back. If I had that little time, like the ones who write in the morning, I don't know what I would have said. And a lot of those people were women. I didn't want kids and I didn't want a job. I knew that if I had either one of those things, I would think about them all of the time. It would set my morning and it would set my night. I would be in its clock, its childhood and its adolescence, its responsibilities. I think women are supposed to open their legs to time and let it pass through them. It strikes me that's what choice is all about. If a man chooses to put sperm inside of a woman, inside of her, it must stay. It's like she's Tupperware. The problem is she's visible. And there are women who want to have babies, and I feel awe for the women who make that choice. In fact, I have been overwhelmed by the generosity of women lately. I was getting on a ferry in July, or I was trying to make a ferry, and I stumbled and fell down, and I managed to get on the ferry nonetheless. But what was amazing was that in the cafe area of the boat, where I was triumphantly putting a Band-Aid on my bruises, my hands were bleeding from falling. And one woman looked at me and said, "They have first aid here." "Oh, I've got a Band-Aid," I told her. "Yeah, I see, but I'm just telling you in case you need more." Thank you. It was nice that she was following me with her eyes. In a few minutes, I realized I would really like an ibuprofen, and I asked her if she had one, and she said, "I don't." And then she really looked at me, and another woman right over there said, "I've got one." And she started digging in her bag. And then the first woman said, "No, I do. And she handed a couple to me happily. And the other woman said, patting her bag, "I've got them here if you need more." "I'm good," I said. And I sat down and I was hurting a little bit, but it was incredible to feel so seen. These women could do anything with their lives beyond care and seeing. But there is that part, a practice, which is ingrained in females and everyone takes it for granted and even despises women a little bit for it. Men do for sure, and women do too. It's the down gender. But I'm gaining a new respect for how it's amazing in small ways, in large ways, how people, and especially women, are in the condition all over the world of caring more. And largely they are keeping people, mostly small people and male people too. They are being kept alive by the caring efforts that are considered no great prize, except if you fell down. And believe me, right now, everything is falling, but you felt the deep pleasure, simple pleasure of being seen. I was brought up to be that way too, but I kind of ran away from home. I left Boston and everything shepherded me that way in my 20s because I needed all the time in the world. I wanted to taste it once. I didn't even know if it even existed. I went to Europe, but it wasn't there. Was it in the past? San Francisco didn't have it either. Once I tasted time, I never wanted anything else. And that is what I'm doing here. The only way I can prove it is that I started writing. Writing is my alibi. A few things must be true. And I tell you, these few things go on for another 65 or 70 pages. So it would be really cool for me or whatever bookstore you love if you would buy this book. And it's called For Now. And it's by me, Eileen Miles. Anyway, this has been great. What a great night. Ron, thank you for your music. And Joan and Tony, thank you for having me on. Love you guys.
That was fantastic. Thanks, Eileen. Thank you so much. We're thrilled to have you. Glad we could get you here in whatever format we could have you. So thanks for joining us. So we're going to, excuse me, let me get my camera going again. There I am. So we are going to go back to Louisville for a final set from Ron and the Storm Generation, and then I'll give a little closing remarks and good night after we're done. Ron, you and the guys ready to go?
We're working with composer Gabriel Walker, who I had worked on a year ago on a big project, and I saw how gifted he is. 3 months later, it's been nothing but pure magic. 35 poets, musicians, singers, healers, curanderas, shamans from 20 countries, 17 languages have come together to record a double album, 40 tracks. So from the ancestors, Poems and Prayers for Future Generations will be released by Son of Blast Records and Transmission Press on November the 10th, a month from now, and a book and double album, and it'll be available, and a lot of information will be coming out about that. It's just amazing. And so Gabriel and I wrote what's on the title page of the book. I just got the proof copies. Wilfred Hildenen, who I met in 1999 in Portugal at an international arts festival, is Finland's leading political cartoonist and has been for years. He's a Sami from Norway, and anyway, he created the cover art, beautiful cover art. He's got a track in Norwegian and in English, 2 tracks on the album. So I want to share with you We Are the Ancestors, the piece about the project that motivated and inspired us to do this project. Gabriel and I wrote. We are the voices of the past. We are your ancestors. We speak from a time of global disease, We speak from a time of protest. We speak from a time of political upheaval. We speak from a time of addiction, a virus killing in mass, silence in the empty streets until the protests begin. The disenfranchised roar, governments against the people, police against the people, military against the people, race against race, religion against religion, institution against institution, ideology against ideology, gender against gender. What is touted as progress, what is touted as prosperity, comes at the cost of clean air, comes at the cost of fertile land, comes at the cost of clean water, comes at the cost of all life. We are the voices of the past. We are your ancestors. We speak from a time of global disease. We hold the future in our hands. We hold the line for your freedom. We hold strong for a world where all life is cherished. We hold you in our hearts. We hold the earth as sacred. It is your earth we steward. We hold our failures to the light for healing. We are healers in a time of global disease. With love in our hearts, with peace in our hearts, we are your ancestors. We love you. And our last piece is the title track for relatively new album titled Prayer from Son of Blast Records. My friend Harry Pickens, incredible renowned jazz pianist, accompanies me, and Aaron West, fantastic violinist, accompanies me. This is the title track from that. But since this is our last one, I want to say thank you to the Storm Generation Band, Matt Thomason, lead guitar, Bill Hardesty on bass, Ryan Chadwick on drums. I want to say thank you to Logan Street Music Studio, where Bill and Matt run this place, and we produced a lot of work here, and so I'm thankful for them opening their doors so this can happen here. Thank you to Clayton Luce and Dark Star TV, and Clayton has joined forces with Storm Generation Films to finish up the 10-year film project Outlaw Poet, The Legend of Ron Whitehead, which was scheduled for release this year, but has been, because of the pandemic, moved to 2021. So be watching for that film. And I thank Tony and Joan and Kyle and everybody in Bloomington. I look forward to visiting y'all in person up there or wherever we see each other. Prayer. Deliver me from fear. Remind me constantly that fear is forever overcome by love. Deliver me from power, for power without love and wisdom inevitably destroys anyone and everyone in its path, including the one who has power but lacks love and wisdom. Deliver me from the disdain of arrogance, elitism, privilege, and the illusion of superiority, for no one is in any way better than anyone else. Deliver me from the violence of greed. Grant me the desire to live simply and to share earth's bounty with others. Deliver me from the silence that enables any and all manifestations of abuse, war, and evil. Grant me the necessary balance of love, power, and wisdom, enabling me to be a nonviolent warrior for peace. Grant me the ability to act responsibly in all areas of my own life, to be a good neighbor, and to dwell in harmony with nature. Thank you for the bounty of life, for the beauty of nature, and for the love of family and friends. Amen. Thank you to Eileen Miles for sharing the Long Island to Louisville stage with us. It's an honor to be with you and in your presence. Thank you, everybody. It's been a blast. Yeah.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Ron Whitehead and the Storm Generation, joining us from down there in Louisville, Kentucky. And thanks to Eileen Miles joining us from there in New York. So thrilled to have you.
Love you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. Glad you could be here. Your new work sounds great. For now, sounds amazing. Definitely going to check that out. So I think that's it, folks. This has been our October edition of the Writers Guild Spoken Word Series. Once again, thanks to our features, Eileen Miles and Ron Whitehead with the Storm Generation. Also, thanks to Dark Star TV and Clay down there in Louisville for hooking us up with the big fat cable so we can hear a whole band instead of just like one person talking like you do on Zoom all the time. But this has been a great experiment, and we're glad that it worked out, and we're thrilled that everybody could join us this evening. Definitely sign up for the Writers Guild newsletter. You can do that by going to our website, writersguildbloomington.com. There's all kinds of information there. All of the events that I talked about earlier this evening, you can find out all about them there. Please join us next month on Wednesday, November 4th, when our show will continue. We'll have poets Nancy Chen Long, Nate Logan, and Angelique Zobitz. We're still sorting out our music for that, but we're looking toward having Bloomington piano wrangler Craig Brenner hopefully will be joining us on that. My name is Tony Brewer. I want to also thank Joan Hawkins and Kyle Quash for helping us keep this thing going. If you folks on the Zoom want to hang out on the Zoom for a moment, I'm going to end the live stream here on Facebook, but please feel free to hang out on the Zoom for a couple of moments once we're done here. Thank you so much for everything, folks, and we will see you next month. Good evening.